Living literally or metaphorically in a war is a terrible way to live. How do you keep going forward when your friends are dying all around you? Then come adventure with me and my new Kickstarter. Find out how you can keep listening to more pub stories. Subscribe to Pub Songs and Stories, show number 253. Welcome to Pub Songs and Stories. This is the virtual public house for musicians to share the stories and inspiration behind their music with your host, Mark Gunn. Subscribe to the podcast at pubsong.com. Welcome to Pub Stories. This is the virtual public house to share stories and inspirations behind my music. Well, so much to talk about right now. I was at the Sherwood Forest Fair the beginning of this month. I had a great time. My voice is still recovering. I guess it was last weekend. Was it last weekend that I was there? Wow. Time has flown by this week. I've been so busy trying to catch up on things. It's just kind of blown my mind a little bit, but I'm getting there. I'm getting closer to being caught up. And since I am reformatting things again, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. First, let me tell you that I am getting ready to kickstart a new album. If you're not yet subscribed to my mailing list, please sign up so you don't miss the Kickstarter. It's for an album called Come Adventure With Me, and it has some amazing songs. I hope to announce the release of the Kickstarter on the next episode, but I will definitely put it in the mailing list. Second, you're going to note that this episode is quite a bit shorter than past shows. After much debate, I decided to once again retire the format I've been working on for like the past year and a half or so. There was a lot that I loved about the new format, and I was really giddy about it, but the pros just didn't outweigh the cons. You can read about the decision on my blog if you want to dive deeper. Find a link in the show notes. That said, the pub stories are not exactly going away. If you want to keep listening to my pub stories, then join my Gunrunners Club on Patreon. I plan to release 2 episodes per month like I've been currently doing, and that's going to happen again in the spring and fall seasons. However, they will be shorter episodes like this, and they will focus almost exclusively on my music. You can get that when you sign up on Patreon for just $5 a month. I also plan to post at least 1 episode per month on the pubsong.com feed, at least through the end of the spring season. Again, I'm going to reformat things come summer. So what happens to the stories that I still have left to publish? Because I have a whole bunch of Celtic stories by Celtic bands. Those are being moved to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, and I will add them to every 2 or 3 episodes, or you can get the private podcast feed when you become a Songhinger over there. So again, thank you all so much for your support. I truly appreciate everyone who became an actual fan of this show, but things are changing, not just here, but also for Coffee with the Celt Father. That too is being moved behind a paywall on Patreon. So a special thanks to my newest gunrunners on Patreon, Robert Eby, Mikey Mason, Now is the Winter of Our Discord, Sue DeSimon, and Bill Shields. Some upcoming shows. I'm going to be at Jordan Con this coming weekend. I'm also doing on the 24th of April, 3 Taverns Brewery. April 29th, I'll be at Pontoon Brewing. That's a new brewery I'm going to be performing at. I say checking out, but I'll be performing there. So May 6th, Tucker Brewing Company in Tucker, Georgia. May 20th, Iron Shield Brewing in Lawrenceville. And May 28th, The Lost Druid in Avondale Estates. I was going to do a story today about tough times in the show, but I realized I already highlighted it in show number 217, which is even called Tough Times. So today is the story of Serenity Valley Waltz. Serenity Valley Waltz changed everything from me, and I was not confident I could write a song on command. In fact, I'm still not, but I am more confident. Mikey Mason and we met at a sports bar in Chicago for Fump Fest a few years back, and Mikey asked if I'd be interested in starting a podcast where we wrote a song for each episode of Firefly. Now, I didn't really think I could do it. I was really nervous as hell, but I wanted to try it because I wanted to flex my songwriting muscles. I wanted to get better. I got into this to become a songwriter, and I wasn't writing many songs. So what better way? And it also gives me inspiration, some things to focus on. So the first episode we watched was Serenity. It's the 2-hour introduction to the characters. And I remember when I first watched it, I was left in a kind of daze. I didn't know what to think about the episode. And when I rewatched it, one of the things that stuck out to me was the introductory scene. It's a flashback to one of the most important battles of the Unification War, the Battle of Serenity Valley. It's when the Alliance finally beat back the Browncoats. Now, according to the wiki facts and whatnot, 2/3 of the independents died fighting in that battle. And the look of dejection on Malcolm Reynolds' face when the angels retreat is really incredible. It starts at the very beginning of the show. And it's also very appropriate. Later in the episode, when he talks about Serenity Valley, you can tell there was trauma, the type that must be so hard to get over. I mean, imagine fighting in a battle where 2/3 of your family and friends that you're fighting with end up dead. I actually had to think about it. 2/3 is such a weird number. So imagine you're standing with 9 of your best friends and family, and at the end of the battle, 6 of those people are no longer there. This is the type of stuff that I think about, like with the war in Ukraine. They're fighting hard, but the Russians are being ruthless and evil, and it's not just fellow soldiers there, it's families and friends. So that are all around you, and imagine that, and it makes me want to cry. And that's where I was when I was writing Serenity Valley Waltz. Music is such a great healer, and I wanted to write a song for the survivors. How did they do it? I imagine Mal, Zoe, Tracy, and others sitting around the campfire singing this song, raising a glass to the fallen. The second verse is really is extra important to me because it's a realization of the damage we can cause to one another when we don't believe. And it was inspired a bit by the Me Too movement, but also by a couple friends who are very dear to me. And it's a universal truth. Sometimes we hurt those around us. Sometimes we just don't want to believe someone's story, either from our own ignorance or maybe because of trust, or maybe because we're a bit dramatic at times, or because we have our own colored glasses look of the world. What's made a huge difference for me is my family. When I'm sad or hurting, I turn to them. I remember learning the Serenity prayer from my mom, who was a drug and alcohol counselor. And it goes, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that's what the last verse is for me. I'm not sure Mal found that peace in the show, but he definitely built a family around him. And that, too, is his serenity. Serenity Valley Waltz features Sam Gilogli on fiddle, Nathan Deese on drums and mandolin. It was mixed by Mitch Peterson. I had other musicians who submitted instruments for the song, which I ended up not using. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to have the campfire version of Serenity Valley Waltz as an MP3, join my Gunrunners Club on Patreon. Without further ado, here is Serenity Valley Waltz.
There's a place that I go when I'm feeling low, and a battle is raging in my head. It dries up my tears and holds back the fear, gives me strength to face what's ahead. Serenity Valley Waltz, when I'm feeling like everything's lost. My heart is all ablaze and my mind's in a haze. Let the angels dance away my faults. I felt the sadness that you caused when you exposed all my flaws and treated my fears as unreal. There is truth in your lie, so much hurt as I cried when you left my soul scarred and unhealed. Serenity Valley Waltz, when I'm feeling like everything's lost. All ablaze and my mind's in a haze. Let the angels dance away my faults. Each day that I rise, I look up in the skies. I am grateful my family is with me. Still I wait for the dawn and I struggle to go on. So I pray for serenity. Serenity my faults.
Thank you for listening to Pub Stories. If you want to hear more behind the scenes pub stories, again, join the Gunrunners Club on Patreon. This is how I make a living to support this podcast. I will talk to you again soon. Sláinte. Pub Songs Podcast is produced by Mark Gunn. The show is edited by Mitchell Peterson with graphics by Miranda Nelson Designs. You can subscribe and listen wherever you find podcasts. You can also subscribe to my mailing list. You will get regular updates of new music, podcasts, special offers, and you'll get 21 songs for free. Welcome to the pub at pubsong.com.